This video contains about the theorem two nilpotent linear transformations are similar if and only if they have the same invariant. So if you ask what are the things two nilpotent linear transformations are given, we already talked about nilpotent linear transformation where there will be index of nilpotent and all. Then about similar, what is similar definition? Similar definition will be here, we'll go through that, and they have same invariants. So suppose that S and T are two linear transformation which are similar. Then there exists a regular mapping A or invertible linear transformation A such that A inverse of TA is equal to S. So this is the definition of similar transformation. Here T is said to be similar to S if A inverse of TA is equal to S, where A is invertible transformation or non-singular transformation. So now let N1, N2, Nr be the invariants of S. So first we will have to prove that two linear transformation are similar, then they have the same invariants. So we will take two different invariants and show these two are same. Then in the next step we are taking the same invariant and we are showing it should be similar only. The nilpotent linear transformation should be similar for two different transformations. So first we will assume there are two invariants, that N1, N2 till Nr be the invariants of S, and M1, M2, Ms are that of T. See, don't confuse with the dimension and this S. So for the linear transformation S, invariants are N1, N2 till Nr, and for the linear transformation T, invariants are M1, M2 till Ms. Okay. So then I can write V in terms of the transformation S as V1 plus V2. It is the direct sum of V1, V2, V3 till Vr. And in terms of T and this invariance as V is equal to, this is not U, this is V only, V is equal to U1 plus U2 plus till US. See the dimension, it is matching with this invariance. Here it is matching with this invariance, where each Vi and Ui are cyclic and invariant subspaces of V of dimension Ni and Mi respectively. So if I start with invariant definition, I will start with this one and prove it is equal to this. Okay. So I will start with since I know that V1, V2 till Vr are invariants. So if invariant with the transformation S, by the definition of invariant you have this S of Vi will be subset of Vi. That is, each of this, if you have the if you have S as transformation, S of V2 will be subset of V2. So S of Vi will be subset of Vi. That is by the definition of invariant subspaces. So now what I'll do is I have this definition, S is equal to A inverse TA. So I use that. Instead of S, I'll write A inverse of TA into Vi, and right hand side is same, that is subset of Vi. Now I use associative property. I'll take A inverse T together and AVI together will be subset of Vi. Now okay, so put AVI is equal to Vi. So since A is invertible transformation, I could do this. If you want, you can go back and check. It is done somewhere in matrices of linear transformation chapter. How it is, everything is defined there. 1 minute. Yes, it is here. Yes. So in this theorem they have defined Vi, since S is here, S is invertible transformation, VIS is equal to WA is defined, and in the proof they have told how it can be done, everything. So we are using that. We can go through that and see, even there these two matrices, which are the two matrices, these two matrices here, C and M2 of T and M1 of T, two matrices are similar, okay, because C into C inverse is taken there. So it matches with the whatever we are doing now. So I can put AVI is equal to UI, since A is regular. So if A is regular, it is 1 1 and 1 on 2. So dimension of VI will be equal to dimension of UI. But since we knew that dimension of VI is equal to Ni, I can write dimension of UI also equal to Ni. So we got dimension of UI. See, you have to understand one thing. They have given all these things, but what we are doing is, actually we are constructing U itself here. Okay. So further T of Vi will be further T of UI is not Vi. T of UI will be T of is equal to T of AVI. How? I have taken UI is equal to A of Vi, so I will substitute that here. T of UI will be equal to T of AVI. But what is TA? By this definition here, TA will be, if you multiply A to both the sides, TA will be AS. So I can write it as TAS into VI. So we got something here, let it be there. Now what we started is S of Vi is subset of Vi. So if I multiply A on both the sides, AS is subset of AVI, right? So AS is subset of AVI. What is ASVI? ASVI is nothing but TUI. What is AVI? AVI is nothing but UI. So I got TUI is subset of UI. I'll tell one more thing. I'll multiply this equation by A on both the sides. So what is ASVI? ASVI is TUI. So I got TUI here. Then what is AVI? AVI is, we have put it is equal to UI. So I can have UI instead of this. So what we got? We got TUI subset of UI. It means UI is T invariant. So equivalently we have shown that UI is invariant under T. So we started with this what we call VI with the transformation S, and we got, because it is T and S are similar, we got till here. This one we have constructed. And we also got that dimension of Vi and dimension of Vi is equal to same, that is N. So moreover we can do this, V is equal to AV. How we get V is equal to AV? Once again, A is a invertible transformation. It will have same dimension and it's onto also. So I can write V is equal to A of V. So A of V means, I know V is nothing but this one. I can multiply A2 everywhere. I'll get AV1 plus AV2 plus still AVR. And that will be equal to, since AV1 is U1, AV2 is U2, I can go till US. So that is how we multiplied and we got this. And we already know that the dimension of each of them are same. So when you add all them, it should be same. So by above theorem, the invariants of the nilpotent transformation are unique, and Ni is equal to Mi and R is equal to S. So this is one side of the theorem. The converse part, what we have to do is, we have to show if they have same invariant, then the two nilpotent transformations are similar. That is what we have to show now. So suppose that two nilpotent transformation S and T have the same invariance. So if they have the same invariance, but these are two different transformations, so I can have two different bases, say V1 V2 till Vn and U1 U2 till Un of V, such that matrix of S under V1 V2 till Vn is equal to matrix of transformation under U1 U2 Un. So both are same. I'll tell you that what is that. Before that, remember, if S and T have the same invariance, it's like U1 plus U2 plus U3, all this will be same with V, like for S and T both. Okay, there won't be the two different things here. So here they have told that there exist two bases, say V1 V2 till Vn and U1 U2 till Un, such that the matrix of S under V1 V2 n is equal to matrix of T under U1 U2 till Un. And the matrix looks like this. So then that exist is given. So how that they exist? It is by a theorem given here. It is by the theorem which is given here. Where is the theorem? 6.5.1, I guess. Yes. So this is the theorem. If T belongs to A of V is nilpotent of index of nilpotence N1, then a basis of V can be found such that matrix of transformation in the basis has this form. So the nilpotence is same here, N1, or it is okay, N1 only for our two cases, T and S for our cases, and it does not depends on the transformation T here. If you have nilpotence N1, then we can have a matrix representation in this form. So you take T or S, the matrix representation will be same. So for both T and S, we get the same matrix representation. So that's why I get here ms of T, m of S is equal to m of T is equal to this matrix representation, where mn, these are box matrices, depends on the invariant which we had, n1 n2 till nr, let's say. So where if I particularly take ms, let its points will be alpha ij, like each elements will be alpha ij, and if I take particularly mt, let it be beta ij. What they have given, both are equal, so alpha ij will be equal to beta ij, but let me take it that way to prove. So now define a invertible matrix A from V to V, invertible transformation from V to V by AVI is equal to, or as AVI is equal to UI. So now okay, this is a different thing, not matching with this. This is a different thing. Since we know A inverse T A VI can be written as A inverse T into AVI, which can be AVI can be written as by using this as UI. So A inverse T UI I got, and which can be written in this form: A inverse into summation j from 1 to n alpha ij uj. If you ask how is that, I'll just take TUI. So if you take TUI, there will be a matrix representation for this, where I varies from 1 to n. For TUI, I will have the matrix representation. So how that matrix representation looks like? See, UI is the first basis, second basis. Then what is the matrix representation for MT? We will be having beta ij. So matrix representation will be like this: Tuj is equal to summation beta ij uj. But here it is given alpha ij is equal to beta ij. So instead of beta ij, I can write Tui or Tuj is equal to summation. This is Tuj. Okay, summation alpha ij uj. So that's what they have used here. Instead of Tui is equal to this one, they have written the last last term. So you got A inverse into summation j from 1 to n alpha ij, this is not there, uj. Okay. So now we will take this A inverse inside the summation till uj. So A inverse is taken inside. So what is A inverse of uj? A inverse of uj is equal to vj, because in this equation what we had, AVI is equal to uj. I will multiply with A inverse on both the sides and I will get that A inverse of uj is equal to vj. So I can replace this by vj. So I got summation j from 1 to n alpha ij vj, and that is nothing but matrix representation of SVJ, because alpha ij and vj is given. By using this, not matrix representation, it's something like I'll tell you what is that. By using this we got that. So we got S here, and we started with, where it is we have started, A inverse TA, and you can replace this Vj's. Vj is just a matrix, just an element, and this is a node, like node kind of, which should come inside. The theorem is goes like this. Okay, so A inverse TA Vj will be equal to S Vj. So Vj get cancelled, like we can remove that, and A inverse of Va is equal to S. So it is better to write not equal here. Either you write this here also, or write these things somewhere aside. Then the theorem will be continuous, and you won't get confused. So S and T are similar because I got this condition. So how, if you ask me how you got this, the representation is SVJ. This is, you have to go back to a matrix representation of a linear transformation, where a matrix, if you have, the each element will be, this will be S of V1, S of V2, S of V3, where this is a linear combination of that. I told this so many times, so please go back to the matrix representation, how it looks like, and you will get it. So this ends the theorem.